Hi again, everyone. I'm Jeff Rimmer, and this is Common Threads presented by Kroger. It is my pleasure and actually distinct honor to welcome a couple of Columbus Blue Jacket All-Stars here in the 20th anniversary season. The Wizard Ray Whitney, and of course, the stellar man on that blue line for the Blue Jackets each and every night. Of course, we're talking about Seth Jones. And Ray, first of all, you're still involved in hockey. And the last time I saw you, we were in Carolina for a game against the Hurricanes. You were working in a scouting capacity for them, but you've graduated. You're now in player safety in the National Hockey League. Now, I don't get Ray Whitney, player safety. You weren't one of the tougher guys in the NHL.
Well, remember, it depends what tough is. I guess I got hit more than most people. I had the puck all the time. But you're right. I did. I did get graduated up. It's a good job to be working in with the league. You see some inner workings with the board of governor meetings and general manager meetings. You see the inside of the NHL and how it's worked and operated. And I know it's a department that at times you're the favorite department and you're the most hated department, depending on what side of the bubble you fall on. But it keeps me active, keeps me in the game, and keeps me watching great hockey and watching players like Seth, some of these young talents that are coming up now, which is a lot different than when I played, obviously. Remember, you saw it. The game has changed and evolved so much, but it keeps me involved. It keeps me, current with the players and the rules in the game, and I enjoy it. I don't always enjoy, the outcome that we have to do and some of the scrutiny that goes with it, but I guess that's part of being on the other side of the game.
Now, is this something that you want to continue working in the National Hockey League in some capacity? Any aspirations about becoming a general manager?
Yeah, I think management at some point would be, Rims, when you play as long as I did and you're away from your family as long as I was. I have a 16-year-old son who's playing hockey right now that I've been able to coach, and this job allows me to do that and still be working. So once these kids kind of get out the door a little bit, to answer that question, yes, I'd like at some point to see if there's an opportunity with that down the road, but certainly staying in the game. I've been in this game since I was about 9 or 10 with the Edmonton Oilers back when my dad was their practice goalie. So I've been around the National Hockey League most of my life, and I certainly couldn't imagine not being around it.
And Seth, certainly that's in your distant future. Now, as a key member of this Blue Jacket Hockey Club training camp and the season just around the corner, your thoughts here as the Blue Jackets begin a season after what I thought was a pretty strong showing in the bubble.
We did. I thought we played some very good hockey in the bubble. We went in very prepared. We knew it was, we didn't have any time to kind of get ramped up, played bad games before. We played one exhibition game, and I thought we played that game great against Boston. We were ready to go. Played well against against Toronto first, hard-fought series there, and then Tampa. I personally don't think the series, the end of that series in 5 games reflected how well we played, and they were a great team. You got to give them props, but looking forward to this season, kind of the same kind of training camp, a 10-day camp. We've been doing a lot of systems early on, been trying to get conditioning involved as well. Been doing, a couple night scrimmages to kind of get back in that flow of having your legs, for a 7:00 game to 9:30 instead of being in bed in the summer at 9:30. So, a lot of good things have been out of this camp. Still, have a couple more days before we head to Nashville.
How do you feel about playing the other teams in the Central Division no less than 8 times?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. I think some rivalries will be formed. I'm sure some guys on teams will piss each other off a little bit and could get chippy later on in the year. I think we play. I think there's a stretch where we play Carolina 4 times in a row. We play in these teams back-to-back nights, and you come here and play them again. So we're very familiar with each other, and we're really looking forward to it.
Ray?
Yeah, with those scheduling, anytime you have a team playing each other 3 or 4 times in a row, that means our department's probably going to be busier because, like Seth said, there's going to be some people that piss somebody off, and they only have to wait, the next night or 2 nights later to resolve it. So it'll be an interesting season on our aspect from it. The situation our world is in and the league is in, it's a very unique opportunity, but I'm sure, like Coach Tortorella probably would have told you guys, the team that's most prepared coming out of this break and coming into this kind of season is probably going to have some most success just by being able to get a jump on some teams. But we're certainly going to see some. So a few more clips coming down ours. I'm sure that it's natural when you get some hot-headed, great conditioned athletes that want to battle it continually night in, night out. We're going to have some stuff come across our plate.
Now, this show is called Common Threads. Both of you, in my opinion, I might be stretching it a bit, have common thread in this regard. Your fathers. Now, Seth Jones, dad played in the NBA. In fact, that's really where he got his first taste of hockey. Your dad was the goaltending coach, or excuse me, not goaltending coach, but the goaltender that worked with the Edmonton Oilers, and you were exposed, of course, to the Oilers as a result. You were the stick boy with the hockey team and really got that love for hockey from your dad, Floyd.
Yeah. Floyd was he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings, believe it or not, with the Edmonton Oilers back in number 4 and number 5. He was their practice goalie for almost 30 years. And back in those days, Seth, what happened is Grant Fuhr was in the net, and he didn't practice very often. He played 70 games of the 82, so he would practice kind of when he needed. He'd play the morning, morning skated kind of thing. And my dad was there, so I was like the rink rat hanging around with him. And I had the opportunity in those days to cut Wayne Gretzky's stick on a nightly basis and watch some of the best players of all time accumulated for a long time. And that's where you learn the inside of the hockey at a very young age. I was 13 through 15, just before I went and played junior, that I was able to be in there on a nightly basis. And believe it or not, I was in the bar at 16 with the Stanley Cup champions. I was the designated.
Times have changed.
Yeah, times have changed. Yeah,
Seth,
amazing.
Seth, talk about your love for the game and your association growing up in Denver, and your dad playing for the Nuggets, and you falling in love with the game of hockey and watching a team, not unlike the Oilers, that won a couple of Stanley Cups.
Yeah, so growing up in Colorado, my dad was with the Nuggets, played for him, and being around the Pepsi Center all the time. You were in the hockey locker rooms, I was in the basketball locker rooms growing up, and I would always, constantly see the hockey guys walking by, whether it was Wah, this is back in 01. So, Wah, Sakic, and Hayduk, Forsberg, these guys walking through, and was able to go to some Avalanche games, and, ended up falling in love with the game. Was that Game 7 when they won the Cup in 2001. And, I saw Sakic pass it to Ray Bourque after 20 odd years of not winning a Cup, and saw Ray Bourque lift the cup with, his kids are on the ice and all that great stuff. And that really propelled my love for the game.
No thought at all about following your dad's footsteps in the NBA?
Never. I love playing basketball to this day. I loved it growing up. In the summer, I love playing pickup with my brothers, but I never, had it in me to play organized ball at all. My 2 other brothers played in middle school for a year, and that was kind of it. But I was just straight hockey. Played lacrosse for a year when I was 10 or 11 because I had a best friend in school that played. And it was just straight hockey. I just loved everything about it.
Ray, your nickname, the Wizard. How'd you get that nickname, by the way?
From a lovely man in Florida named Jeff Rimmer. And it's funny, it all came on an accident too. It all came from me. Seth doesn't have this problem because he can skate backwards, right? So a forward play in the point in the power play, I went to pivot for a one-timer and I caught my heel and went ass over tea kettle. Ended up on my and the pass was on the way, and the penalty killers, I think, thought they were going to go down on a 2-on-1. I was fortunate enough to poke it through the guy's legs and pass it back door for a goal. And Jeff Rimmer was so excited. He called me the Wizard that night, and I don't know how it happened, buddy, but it stuck for the next 20 years.
That's great.
It's
great. Now, I don't know if you're more of a wizard for what you did on the ice or on the golf links, and particularly on the greens when we would play with Len Berry, another former Columbus Blue Jackets, and Sillinger, and of course yourself and me, and then we'd have lunch and argue about who had what and who would take home the money.
Yeah. It's I've been fortunate enough to play in a lot of places where golf is a year-round thing, and I've managed to get the handicap to a pretty good level. It was I was up to a +3 at one point this summer, and
wow,
I've come back down. Playing at Whisper Rock in Arizona, you need to be lower than that, or you're going to get a real whooping. So I'm back down to a 0 where I belong.
Seth, you ready to take Whit on? Yeah, I'm sure he'll give you a lot of strokes.
I'm gonna need 18 strokes. 18. I actually shot 87 was my best score. I actually shot 87 this summer in Dallas after the bubble, so fall.
Well, Jeff,
that's my best score.
These guys train all summer long, unlike us when we played.
I don't have time for that.
I took the summer off. We didn't do a lot of training, so we had lots of time for golf. It's a different era now.
Yeah. This is Common Threads presented by Kroger. And guys, there's another thread between the two of you. And I want to talk about that because playing in Edmonton, or actually playing for the Oilers, your junior career started in the Western Hockey League. As well, Seth Jones started in the Western League with the Portland Winterhawks. So there's that other common thread between the two of you. Whit, you start things off.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be in Spokane from the time I was 16 through 18, and we were one of the worst teams at a young age. When I was 16, we had 4 or 5 16-year-olds, and 3 years later we won the Memorial Cup. So, that's where I got drafted after we won the Memorial Cup. But we had a pretty good team back in those days. Rims, I don't know if you remember, but there was a lot of fighting. So we had not only did we have the best offensive team, we had the toughest team to go with it. And my line mate went second overall behind Eric Lindros, Pat Falloon. I went number 2, and then they took me at 23. And then, our careers went off in San Jose together from there. But the Western League was obviously great to me. Obviously, it was great to you, Seth, in Portland. It's a great league to get kids ready for the National Hockey League.
Seth, you talk, I guess, at one point of perhaps going to college, but ended up playing major junior for 1 year in Portland. Want to talk about that year and how it helped you develop?
Yeah, I was very interested in college. As a U.S. kid growing up, both my parents were very pro college, all the way, through 14, 15, even 16, before I even knew what I was going to do. And I just wanted to keep my options open and see, how my career played out and make that decision for myself. And I came to the conclusion that I wanted to play for Portland and the Western Hockey League. And, the type of schedule it was, I really just wanted to play there for 1 year, then, get drafted in the NHL and go from there. And, being there was unbelievable. I learned a lot. I wasn't obviously the oldest guy or the youngest guy. I was kind of middle of the pack. And, guys like Ty Ratty and Nick Batan and Brendan Leipsic and, Travis Green was our coach with Mike Johnson. So it was a world-class organization. Ended up going to the Memorial Cup and lost in the finals to Nathan McKinnon and Jonathan Drouin, which was no easy feat. And so that was awesome. I ended up getting drafted by Nashville, and the rest was history.
In closing, I'd like to get your thoughts on from both of you with regards to your all-star appearances as Columbus Blue Jackets. And Ray, why don't you start it off?
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago, Rims, but I actually caught a flight with Doug McLean on Mr. McConnell's jet down to Florida for my.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, and it was one of my early days on a private plane. It was pretty special, but I played with 2 amazing players that year in the All-Star game. I played with Mike Modano at center, and somebody, Seth, you're pretty familiar with Peter Forsberg from the Avalanche. And Modano was tough to keep up with, and Forsberg, I just tried to stay out of his way because once he got the puck, nobody could get it from him. But 2 of the nicest guys, great experience. Florida did a great job that year of the All-Star game. And it's amazing when you go to those things, some of the players, it's a little bit, time has gone from there, Jeff, and how many players that are on that team that are now in the Hall of Fame. I'm not one of them, but the rest, a lot of guys that are on that. It's amazing when you get to be around that group of talent and that many players, both the team that you're playing with and the one you're playing against. Seth, one day when you're retired and you'll look back and those guys, and as you guys all get into the Hall of Fame, you'll really be appreciative of it then. But for me now, seeing all those guys, when I see the picture and see how many are, in the Hall of Fame up in Toronto, it's pretty amazing that I had that opportunity to play there a couple times.
Seth, how about your all-star appearances as a Blue Jacket?
Yeah, when I think about, I've been to 3 now, and my first one I'll never forget. It was a very special one in Los Angeles, and it was the year of the 100th year anniversary of the NHL. So they put together the top 100 players of all time. Everyone was there. Wayne Gretzky was my coach for Team Metropolitan, and you know, it was just so special seeing, you know, Lidstrom and, you know, who was my idol growing up, seeing him right in front of my face, seeing, you know, all the top 100 players of all time. You know, it seemed like I was there for the event, you know what I mean? To see all these Hall of Famers and, you know, and then I had Crosby and Ovechkin on my team and, you know, two of the other greatest players of all time. And so it was just a very special time for me with my family there, my mom, my grandma, and, you know, something I'll never forget for sure.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your time here on Common Threads presented by Kroger. Best of luck to both of you. Certainly, Ray, it'll be a busy season, I am sure, for the National Hockey League. And Seth, stay healthy and have a great year with the Blue Jackets. And thanks for joining us here on the 20th anniversary.
Thanks, Rims.
My pleasure, Rims. Good luck to you, Seth. Be safe, be healthy.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it.
And that's Common Threads for this week. Thanks for joining us.